try to find Sanitarium, have some fun, and try not to break again today.
All right, so we were heading out to a new trail called Sanitarium, but we couldn't find it because it's very much an unmarked trail right now, I think. If you know where Sanitarium is, do me a favor and drop the Google coordinates in the video, obviously. I will send out a t-shirt to someone who drops me those first.
Was kind of a little bit bummed we didn't get to run Sanitarium because it is a new trail. Not a lot of people have ran it, but that's okay. We'll hit it another day.
We went out there knowing that we were all the way out there. We went and did Unforgiven. Unforgiven is an awesome trail we've never got the chance to because again, it's all the way out there in the back corner of the park. The obstacles are a little bit more spread out. You can see in front of you. But the thing about this is there's a lot more sand and a lot more dirt in these obstacles that make them a lot slipperier.
I'd actually never been that far back on the south side of Sand Hollow. Tell you what, I think it's one of my favorite trails, Becker. Very technical, hill climbs, sand chutes, a little bit of everything, Becker. So.
You know what? I got about halfway through that trail and I'm thinking it's not as bad as the name might imply. I changed my mind on the second half of the trail.
Kind of the first obstacle we got into on Unforgiven, and it reminded me a lot of like at Moab with the different fins and stuff like that on it. You don't have a lot of that out here in Sand Hollow, I've noticed, but this one obstacle, I mean, it's just tire placement. It's not a hard obstacle going up it anyway. You've got a big drop on the right and the left, but there's plenty of room up on top as long as you just walk your line up and follow the tire tracks. But when you do come off the other side, it's a hard left turn, and then you come down, and then it's a pretty good little drop, probably 5-6 foot drop off.
Ooh, I like that one.
You did?
Oh, I love that one. Yeah, I like the up, straight up, like not sideways, but straight up.
Yeah, but you had to like come up, and then like, you couldn't see their side. It was like that.
Yeah.
It was almost
It's
like that entrance at Hell's Revenge. Where like you're on that big plateau and you can't see left or right.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of off camber. It gets me all crazy. I don't mind going up and down, but off camber, I get a little, sketched out.
Straight no. You're good. Good. Just nope.
Eerie.
As a solid 8, I would have for sure put this one in a 9. Only because I felt like, I mean, there was a ton of obstacles on this, but you had a lot of obstacles on this one where the consequences of things going wrong were much more severe.
Fairly put. Yeah,
Yes,
fairly
definitely.
put.
Hence the name.
Yeah,
Unforgiven.
Yeah.
Yeah, out here at Sand Hollow, you've got a lot of climbs where you're coming up and maybe V notches, and then they're just drop overs. A lot of times I like to have somebody ahead of me kind of spot me and say, at least tell me my wheel placement's good, right? So once we do that, we kind of break over. It's a little unnerving, but I mean, once you kind of know what's on the other side, I'm good with that.
Following you is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. So it doesn't matter how capable your vehicle is, but following Nick is a total different animal. Like, it's not a good idea for just an off the street Jeep to go be able to do.
So
I mean, you did it.
but we did it.
You didn't
Still had
die.
fun. Not this time.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I'm running the 46s and I'm on a 16 and an 18-inch coilover. So, I mean, I've got a ton of belly height, you know, which comes with its own disadvantages though. But yeah, there were a lot of things that I think I tend to go through that I really don't think about. And then, you know, Chris and Robert are obviously going to have a more difficult time.
I struggled a little bit, yeah, because that wheelbase was too long for where you drop in at to where
Yeah.
you want to hit that line. And then once you finally do get up, you're worried about, I'm going to bash this door in or I'm going to break off a mirror again. Like, I don't
Again?
want this. Yeah, again.
I love my stickies.
The Moab bump is a real thing, and it's more of like maybe the Utah bump, you know, than just Moab. The traction on these rocks is unparalleled, and you combine that with good tires and what your car can do. It can do things here it can't do anywhere else. That being said, there's still limits to it, and the size and scale of like some of these obstacles and the walls that you're going up, that you can't just crawl it. It's going to take some momentum, and that's a fine line of enough momentum to get you up. Too much momentum will unsettle your car, and you'll either go over backwards or you start hopping, come back down. And if you're still on the throttle with the amount of traction that's there, you will destroy parts in your drivetrain very quickly. So it is its own technique, and it's something that you just got to kind of practice, and it's just that just a perfect amount of bump to get up some of these big obstacles.
Whenever people are doing their stuff, we're in a playground, I'm the first person to go over there and play on the stupidest stuff. And I realized that if I went left up this one line and dropped down, it was like an immediate drop. And it was a pretty good drop.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's spicy.
I better get ready to come pull me backwards.
That's where we told Andy to come this way, and he's completely fine. That's where you realize Andy does not like going down
No.
things.
You know, because you're coming up at such a steep angle. I mean, you're looking at planes.
Sky.
So yeah, it's nerve-wracking.
He was not happy at all with you, but he did it.
Yeah, Bumba missed that whole like playground area.
It was actually really fun.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff to do too.
Yeah.
Because that's the one you said, oh, I shouldn't do that. I don't think I can do that.
That one I didn't think that I did.
You were
but
not going to do that one.
No. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I ended up doing it. But it was fine.
Because you're surrounded by a bunch of knuckleheads.
So 2 years ago out at EJS, we went to on Metal Master and hit Widowmaker. Widowmaker, I almost laid it over backwards. Widowmaker is one where you got to roll into commit because it's a bump and then it takes you on up. And I did not make that one. This year, Unforgiven has quite a few of those obstacles like that on there, and I was a lot more comfortable to be able to roll into that. Hit the bump and have confidence in myself and the rig that I could just roll into it and keep going up over it.
And then I think around that part is when I gave the keys to Cameron to have her drive the bug for the first time. She did a really good job, you know what I mean? And she made it through all that stuff, nothing too crazy.
When I pulled up, everybody was already kind of like working their way up, and so I kind of hung back because you could just kind of see like it was like this series of tiers and waterfalls, and it laid out really well. None of the obstacles from the point that I got on there were like too challenging, but at the same time they were really fun and cool obstacles, and you could just like kind of catch them clean and get that like flow going of just cruising a trail.
Yeah. So the kind of last obstacle right before you come out the end of Unforgiven there, you come in and it's basically you got a V notch that you got to kind of crawl up and over, and you got to place your driver tire way high up to be able to get through that and clear it. And as soon as you come over, and it's immediate drop back down, and there's a ravine down below it, which is probably a 100 foot drop. And there's not much room there. You definitely make sure you have a spotter on this one.
There are a lot of ways to make that particular obstacle easier. A short wheelbase, a front dig, a cutting brake, none of which applies to a Gladiator.
I was like looking at it and I could see it was like a crest, and I was like, oh, okay, well, you know.
A little
And then I
ravine
went up
there.
and stood
That
there,
was
and it was like,
scary.
oh, there was a sheer cliff on the backside of that. You're having to do like hard right turn. I was like, felt like I was back on
Like,
like
no
Rusty
left turn.
Nail in Moab. Like,
No
you
left
gotta,
turn.
like, or no left turn.
Yeah.
I had to back up a few times, which was hard because the steering was a little bit tough to do. I wanted to give up. Like if I ever wanted to get out of my Jeep, that was that obstacle. But it felt good. I'm glad I listened and made it through.
When Scott came over, he pulled up one time, backed up, hit the brake, and walked right around, came out of it. So I think the longer wheelbase obstacles probably struggled a little more. That's where being shorter was definitely an advantage.
If I set up far enough on the left side and went over the rocks on the left, it would give me a straight enough line that I could make the turn. And as I did that, like the back end shifted a little bit, didn't track quite the same as the front end. So I was so bound up, it wasn't gonna happen. So I had to do a little backup and then went through, no problem. But
Coming off the end of the trail, you've got a moderate left turn around a rock that's off camber. So you don't want to go real high on it. So you kind of get close to the wall. And I touched it with the tube doors. I've got the Mopar tube doors. I used them exactly for the intended purpose. They kept the paintwork off the rock. So very glad I had them.
I did think I was going to get the doors and scrape the fenders. I don't think I did any of that.
You didn't touch nothing.
the car's clean.
Gary was there spotting me, and I, of course, listened to him. But I thought I was going to. I was really close to that rock, and it was a huge rock. There was no getting away from it because there was another rock on the other side. But it made it through.
There was a pretty good climb. What I would say is probably your longest, most continuous obstacle.
That climb itself, it wasn't too tough having such tall tires and tons of clearance. As long as you didn't let off the gas, just kept it steady the whole way, like, you're getting out of it.
The portion that I got into, I really enjoyed. I thought it was a really cool trail. Like I enjoy like good flowing trail with good tiers and waterfalls. I like the off camber stuff. I like drops and nose down stuff, and it had like all of that.
Yeah, really like the backside of Sand Hollow. I mean, depending on what side of the mountain you're on is all different terrain back there. Unforgiven was more technical. Really enjoyed it. Would love to go back and run it. I hopefully get to go find Sanitarium at some point and run that.
Unforgiven, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a long trail, but it has distance between the obstacles. And being way back in the back of the park, it's something you have to get to. So it's an all-day trail, but it was a lot of fun.
I am definitely more confident than I was yesterday. I'm looking forward to day 3 and seeing what I can do.